All right. Hello everyone.
Yeah. Hello.
So thank you so very much for joining us for our weekly Q&A session with Chris. If you have questions for us, this is what we're here for today. If you've got questions for Chris, be sure to pop your question in the chat box, but also if you could make sure you let us know roughly where you are. You don't have to give us your exact address, but we want to know, what town you're in, whereabouts you're located in Australia or elsewhere in the world, so that we tailor Chris's responses to meet your needs. So I'm just getting myself set up here. We are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and on YouTube. So whatever platform you happen to be tuning in from today, pardon me, we will find your questions. I'll be moderating today as usual. So make sure if you've got any burning questions, pop them in the chat and I'll put them to Chris. All right, beautiful. All right, so Nick McCown. Oh, Nick, no sound on Facebook. That was...
should be corrected now.
We should be right now.
Yeah, before we went.
Beautiful. All right, well, thanks very much for that, Nick. It's always good to know and get that feedback. Okay, Kitty Von Fatty. Hi, Chris. Will Asiatic jasmine grow in Bendigo on a south-facing wall?
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yes.
It doesn't mind a lot of shade, and it doesn't mind some severe frost.
Excellent. Now, Nick, I might just ask if Nick McCown is still on Facebook. You just can let me know if the sound's back or give us
And back on that Asiatic jasmine. Asiatic jasmine, we did a video on it recently where it was growing in complete shade, and it was feeling that people often have this sort of void of a strip of earth that's between the fence and the driveway. And if you put a big bushy thing there, it's hard to open the car door. So it made a beautiful ground cover between the fence and the driveway in a fully shade situation. And then it was climbing up the fence at the back and eventually going to turn that fence green. So it was a really good solution. A video that we made that was a really good solution just up in the last week or so. Really good solution to a sort of problem that lots of people have, which is that sort of void of earth that's between the driveway and the path, where you don't really want to grow a big bush and make it hard to open the car door.
Fantastic. And I think we use Asiatic jasmine quite a lot in our garden designs, don't we? It's a very useful plant.
Yeah, it is. You can make a lovely, it's a long lasting, it's a ground cover that's very, very long lasting. It's a nice dark green with white flowers, so it goes with pretty much anything. Fits really well into a modern garden design. And it's very, very low maintenance. And once it's established, it forms a thick blanket that tends to block out the weeds.
Right. Thank you very much for that. I think that was very helpful. All right. So designs 1932 from Melbourne Caulfield. Can we plant pittosporums in a west-facing position in January, or best to wait until the months cool off in maybe April?
Do you know that pittosporums love the heat? Like most plants, they love the heat as long as they got plenty of moisture. Whereabouts were they? They were in
Caulfield.
Caulfield. So in Caulfield, you've got beautiful sandy soil, and the important thing would be I'd use a little bit of chemical soil wetter if I was planting. Basically, now would be a great time to plant pittosporums, but what I would do to ensure success is that I wouldn't dig in Caulfield. You've got lovely sandy soil, but it would benefit from some soil wetter to get the moisture to go through the sand well.
Yep.
And I would not tease the roots, and I'd keep them really well watered, put a bit of fertilizer on them, and plant them sort of shallowly in the soil so the water can get into the root ball, but well watered with a bit of soil wetter and a bit of fertilizer. Now would be a great time to plant them, because if they're well watered, they adore the heat and grow like crazy in the heat.
Yep. All right. Now I'm just going to look for. We don't have Mickey with us today. She's having a lovely holiday, but Emlyn's helping us out with the tech, and I'm just going to call Emlyn back to see if he can. I think the comments are turned off on TikTok.
Right.
So if you're on TikTok, I'm working in the background to try to get your questions to make it available to you. So I will just...
in Victoria, we're getting our first bit of hot weather. We're getting our first bit of hot weather in Victoria for the year. And lots of people are asking about watering or asking about planting now. And basically, say I have a production nursery, and in my production nursery we're potting as hard as we can, because this is a great time to be planting plants as long as they're well watered and well fertilised,
Yep.
because plants take root and start growing immediately. Plants that we potted only 2 or 3 weeks ago are coming up to, a lot of them are coming up to size for selling. So if you put plants in now, and the old idea of not planting in the summer came from when people just had big heavy steel. It's funny, I was watering in my backyard and I found this big old steel watering can. And I remember when I was young, people didn't plant in the summer because those steel watering cans were real heavy. We didn't have hoses and that much.
Yep.
I had to carry these big heavy watering cans and tip the water onto the plant. And so we tended to avoid, but now, you know, like I'm watering in my backyard, I've got a beautiful 3/4 inch hose, a lovely rosette on it, the water's belting out and my plants are thriving from the water. So times have changed, and summer has gone from the worst time to plant, back when people had no hoses and they just had big old steel cans.
Yep.
And they've gone from, and now they've got beautiful hoses, watering systems. Watering systems were once very expensive. They're only for the super wealthy, and now anybody can afford a watering system. So a plastic watering system. So basically, with water, plants love the heat.
Yep. Now, Chris, what I've just asked Emily if you could run and grab one of those watering the rows that you use,
Yeah.
just so that you can show everybody what it is that you actually, you know, when you're talking about a nice large head, what that looks like. And I think you've got some good videos on the YouTube channel of you using the rows,
Yeah.
the watering rows, so that people can get a sense of how much water it actually emits.
Yeah, actually, I'll tell you a little story. My partner, one year, was saying that we were having a very hot, dry summer, and she said to me, she said, Chris, I'm watering for 10 to 15 minutes every morning on my way to work, before I go to work, and at any rate, the garden's just drying up and frizzling. At any rate, so I popped around there with a 3/4 inch hose and one of my big rosettes, which we're about to show you, and at any rate, so I got her gun she had a 1/2 inch hose with a gun, which is what most people have in the garden, and I think it's terrible, that combo. And what I did was I got a 10 litre bucket, and I put the little gun into the bucket, and it took 1 minute and 20 seconds to fill the bucket.
Right.
Then what I did was I hooked up to the same tap, turned it on the same amount. I put a 3/4 inch hose with one of these rosettes here. We bought these rosettes. This is what we use for watering in my nurseries. And this rosette here was designed to carry a large flow of water but hit the ground really gently, sort of like rain. And so basically, so what I did was I took one of these rosettes, hooked it onto a 3/4 inch hose, got rid of the 1/2 inch hose, and it took only 20 seconds to fill the bucket. So that was like 6 or 7 times faster than using, or 6 or 7 times the water output. And so what happened was my partner kept on watering for 15 minutes on the way to work, but suddenly the garden, and I'll use a bit of soil wetter on, I put some soil wetter on the garden, had her using this rosette with a heavier hose, and we've used it ever since, and 10 to 15 minutes and you've got the garden done. And so something like this, but even if you don't want to spend a lot of money, what you can do is even just take your gun and throw it in the recycling bin, that little orange gun, throw it in the recycling bin and just put your finger over, just lightly break the flow with your finger on your 1/2 inch hose, and you'll find that if you tested it, like you test your 1/2 inch hose with the gun in the bucket, and you'll see it takes well over a minute to fill a bucket, then take the gun, throw it in the recycle bin and just use your finger to break the flow, and you'll find that you double your output. And then go to a 3/4 inch hose in one of these and you're 4 or 5 or 6 times your output of water. And getting some water out, and with a nice gentle, like getting water out, not as a hard jet, but as a nice gentle flow like this one here does. And you can see this one on YouTube. You can see it in operation on YouTube, but getting it out with a nice gentle flow is the whole key to watering. A nice volume of water with a nice gentle flow.
Yeah. Brilliant. And that, they do call that a water breaker, don't they?
Yeah, that's
because it
right.
breaks up the water so that it hits the ground gently. All right, beautiful. So now I'm just going to go, I saw we've got a few questions. We're going to run to TikTok because we didn't have questions up on TikTok when we started, but we do now. So Brylan M, hello. When is the best time to hard cut back lily pillies? Thank you from Queensland.
Okay, I like to cut them back. In Queensland, like in Melbourne, I would cut them back at the end of August, and then in September sometime they'll start growing again. But I'd imagine that in Queensland, you're so far advanced to us that I would cut them back hard at the end of July, and then I'd imagine by the end of August they'd be shooting away. The problem is if you cut them back hard in summer, they can sunburn, and if you cut them back hard in the autumn, they go all winter without regrowing. But if you cut them back at the start of the growing season, in no time at all, they're covered in new leaves that are photosynthesizing and they're away. So it's very good to cut them, if you're cutting them real hard, and I mean, lily pillies, you can chainsaw them off nearly to the ground and they'll come back, but it's good to cut them back at a time where they'll resprout and grow real quick. And for Melbourne at least, now it's getting a bit late because it's not that long till winter. I mean, it's hard to think, imagine a hot day like today, but it's not long till winter really, whereas in springtime it's a long time till winter.
Yeah. All right. Now, Riz has asked, Riz has just said price. And I think Riz might be talking about that water rose that you've got there, the water breaker.
I actually got a price of it. It's actually, if you get yourself a hose, if you get yourself a 3/4 inch hose and all the fittings, it's $100.
$100.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, I hope that's helpful.
And it's a very, very nice. I've looked for, because I use lots of these in the nursery, and I've gone down to Bunnings and I've looked for one that would do the job, and I haven't been able to find. They've got a whole wall of them. They've got a whole rack of different heads and guns and things like that, and I don't reckon any of them are any good for serious watering.
Now we do sell hose fittings and the rosette all together as a kit, as Chris said, and we sell them so the hose length in each kit is different. So you can get a 10-meter hose, a 20-meter hose, or a 30-meter hose.
Yeah.
So and that's the hose fitting with a high flow rosette.
Yeah.
So okay, you can find those on our website.
We'll get, if you've got some serious watering to do, we've got some serious watering gear.
Beautiful. All right, so we've got Harley. How long after potting indoor plants would they need fertilizer?
I would be inclined to fertilise them straight away. Like when I was potting them, you could put a little bit of Osmocote. It'd be a really good thing to slip a little bit of Osmocote. Like put your fresh potting mix in the bottom of the pot, slip a bit of Osmocote in there, and then put your plant, set it right on a bit of Osmocote, and then when you're watering them, a little bit of power feed or liquid fertilizer could be really helpful in the water.
Yep.
Not every time, but say once a month when you're watering them.
And I tend to put all of my plants in the bathtub, and probably once a month I give them a very like a half or a quarter strength dose of sea salt and fish emulsion, just to give them a little bit of liquid feed as well, just to give them a bit more pep and help the cell production. Yeah,
that's a great way, like giving them a soak in the tub or the bath and putting a little bit of fertilizer in there once a month. Great way to keep them fertilised.
All right, so I hope that's been helpful, Harley. Emily is in Adelaide Hills. Hi, just wondering what you'd recommend for along a concrete driveway, Adelaide Hills.
Adelaide Hills. So if you just wanted a small bush, I'm thinking that that something like Green Rocket would be really good.
So
that does really well in the Adelaide Hills, or a Nandina. And a Nandina, like a good Nandina, would be a Moonbay Nandina or a dwarf Nandina. So a Nandina is great along the driveway, because if you drop something, like if you open the car door on them or drop your groceries on them or something like that, they bend over and then they stand back up again. So Nandinas are great for along the driveway. Or if you wanted a bit of a tree, or if you wanted a sort of a medium-sized, attractive, interesting thing, like you say you put Nandinas along it, but you want a bit of height, you might look at a sky pencil.
Oh yes, sky pencil. So sky pencil is a type of holly which grows very upright, very straight and upright, like a pencil pine.
Yeah,
but it's got the foliage of a hedge.
like if you imagine a nice skinny compact little pencil pine with English box foliage on it, you've got yourself a sky pencil, and they don't grow anywhere near as big. And so if you were to put, say, like moonbane andinas and punctuate them every 4 or 5 metres with a sky pencil, that would look really good. And something like a moonbane andina or a green rocket or a tom thumb, euonymus, very hardy and great for the Adelaide Hills.
Excellent. So I've just put that in the chat box. So tom thumb, I'll just pop that in. All right, so I'm just answering that in the TikTok chat. So so that's where you can find the answer. All right, okay. Carl Jr. Hamilton. Hey mate, I'm on the Murray River. Can you guys source and supply foxtail palms?
Foxtail palm. I would have thought that you'd do better with a canary. No, what is it? The other palm.
Washingtonia? No?
A Canariensis.
Okay.
No. What is it? Canary Island. No, not Canary. What is it? What's a Cocos Island? A Cocos Island. I think that the foxtail palm is more tropical. It's more like for Queensland or something like that. And what looks very similar is your Cocos Island palm, which does really well along the Murray River. I've seen lots of them doing really, really well. So, and yes, we can source those for you. But my recommendation is Washington palm, Cocos Island palm, or ornamental date palm are the best palms along the Murray River.
All right, beautiful. Thanks very much for that.
And we can source any of those.
Yeah.
And deliver.
And deliver, that's right, we can too. All right, I'm just going to have a look around at the chats because takes a lot of things come in. So, okay. All right, Stick Mafford is in Geelong, attempting to block out a line of sight of neighbours over the fence on the north side of the property, but there's an area in between 2 houses with limited light getting through. Any suggestions for something that would grow 2.5 to 3.5 metres in both of those situations?
Okay, with limited light, I would be using, and you'd have to water and fertilise and plant, dig up the soil and make nice conditions for them. But sweet viburnum is great when you've got, it'll grow in full sun, but and particularly if you have that combination where you've got full sun in one part and limited light in another part and you want to run a hedge right through, your sweet viburnum is fabulous. And the other one that's really good for that, which we have here as well, is your cherry laurel. So cherry laurel or sweet viburnum would be what I'd be looking at.
Okay, and that's for the more sunny aspect?
Both.
For both,
yeah.
Okay.
For both, well watered, well fertilised, either of those.
Excellent.
And probably the hardier and faster of the two is probably the cherry laurel.
All right. Now, Chris, just going back to, so designs 1932, we're in Caulfield, we were talking about the pittosporums that are west facing. And the follow-up question is, by the way, thanks, there's a thanks for that. What fertiliser would you suggest?
Osmocote.
Osmocote, just the all-purpose?
Yeah, all-purpose Osmocote would be great for them.
Yep, and so that's a, what do you call it, a slow-release fertiliser?
It's a slow release. They're little plastic-coated pellets that they say 12 months, but if you put them on every 6 months, you'll have good amount of fertiliser there all the time.
Yeah, and around about, you reckon about 3 teaspoons per plant if you're getting them established?
Say it was an 8-inch pot, 3 teaspoons would be great.
Yeah, and as they get a bit older, like, 6 and 12 months?
Up the volume and spread it out a little bit further as the roots spread out.
Fantastic.
Like when they're little, just put it just on top of the root ball.
Yeah. All right, and we do that every 6 months, at least for the first 18 to 24 months.
Yeah.
Don't we? Yeah. All right, so second 84. For a new build, I want to get a front yard and backyard design. Can you please point me in the right direction?
Well, we do garden designs here, and we, yeah.
There's a QR code down below.
Oh, right. Okay, so you've got a QR code there that you can scan and go there. But we have a unique system for doing garden designs. We do a 45-minute garden design. You pay $100 up front, but we call it a free garden design because when you buy your plants, you get that $100 back.
Yeah,
and basically our garden design is really interesting because a lot of what happens with most garden designs is somebody comes along, it often costs $1,000 to $5,000, and then what happens is that somebody comes along, interviews you, and then disappears, comes back a couple of weeks later and presents the right garden for you. And I have a completely different approach. I believe that people have got the right garden sort of locked inside them, but they maybe don't know how to express it or how to, which plant to choose or exactly where to put them or how it's going to work. But people tend to know what they want. They know the effect or the style or whatever it is what they want. And so what I do is I do my garden design right on the spot, right in front of the person. And when you're on the right track, you see them getting smiling and getting happier. And when you get on the wrong track, you see them getting a bit of doubt in their eye and stuff like that. And I don't sort of impose the right garden on them. I draw the right garden out of it. And so very often people are laughing and happy at the end of it. And very often what will happen, I'll be in the middle of the garden design and I realise I'm on the wrong track and I'll tear out the page, screw it up and throw it away, so let's start again. But even that's part of the process because sometimes they maybe didn't express it properly at the start, you went off on the wrong tangent, but then once they see what you're doing and that's not really what they want, they can then tell you what they really want and we can get the right garden design happening. So it's done on the spot, done with the person. So when you get to the end of it, you've got the plants you want, you've got the style that you want, you've got the design you want, you've got the outcome that you want, all just there, priced up and ready to go.
And so we as we're going along in these sessions, we put together a mood board. So we've got a giant screen in front of the design desk, and we will put together all of the plants that we're talking about. We put them up on the screen, but the beauty of actually coming into the nursery and having it done here is that at any given time we can pretty much almost always walk out the back and bring some plants to the table so you can see what they look like in real life.
Yeah.
So you can see them up on the mood board, but then you can see them in real life.
Yeah. So in actual fact, although our garden design is free when you buy your plants, and you might think that a free garden design may not be that good a garden design, I think that in many, many cases, our garden design done on the spot, watching the person's reactions, sort of changing and modifying, putting up a mood board and having the customer say, look, I don't like purple or whatever it is, all of that interaction actually makes our garden design one of the best garden designs you can get, even though it's inexpensive and quick.
Well, I think the beauty of it, and I come from a normal garden design practice situation where, we take many weeks or months to develop a design, over time with the clients, and it can be quite an expensive process because we do a lot of very detailed drawing and we'll get down into the very nitty gritty. But the point of difference is, that you and I have excellent horticultural advice, experience, and so, in some practices you don't necessarily get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all a person has to do to get one of our fabulous garden designs is go online and book and pay for their initial thing, and we're in business. It's very, very simple and very easy and quick and painless.
All right, so I've got some more questions in the chat. So very, very glad to see we've got a lot of people on today and some really good questions. So Joe Marnie is on Facebook, and Joe says, hi there, I live in Sydney. It's a sandy type of soil. Could you recommend drought tolerant flowery plants, white and green preferable in their colour? I'm thinking of a maple tree which will have morning sun and shade in the afternoon. It's facing east. Also thinking of a dwarf crepe myrtle. Which maple would you recommend?
Okay, so if I went for a weeping maple, I'd look at an Anaba Shadare. Mm-hmm. And if I was going for an upright spreading maple, maybe something like an Emperor 1 could be very nice.
Yeah.
And then for drought hardy, white flowering plants, I was thinking something like your Oriental Pearl.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes. Yep.
Hard to beat your white carpet rose, flowers for months and months and months. and something like your orange jessamine or your Chinese star jasmine, all beautiful lush green foliage, white flowers. And of course, in your light sandy soils, you're going to do really, really well with gardenias, like your gardenia florida. It's a nice low spreading flowering gardenia. Gardenias can grow like weeds in sandy soil in Sydney.
Right.
So yeah, that answers all the question, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
There was mention of crepe myrtle, I think.
Oh,
a dwarf crepe myrtle.
One. Actually, what was it? I did a video on one that went crazy, and it was called Summer Sensation.
Yeah, I think that might be right. Let me have a look.
And anyway, it has purpley foliage and beautiful bright red flowers, and that's a beautiful dwarf. It only grows a metre or so tall, and maybe 1.2 metres wide. A lovely little, what's it called? Summer.
Indian summer?
No. I think it's like Summer Sensationalist, and it's a purpley foliage with a bright red flower, and it's a low one.
I will hang on.
Because a lot of your dwarf crepe myrtles are grown from seed, and they don't know what colour flowers they're going to have till you see them.
It's not the Magic series.
No.
Okay. Not too sure what that one is. We'll try to find it.
I think it's something like Summer Sensation. So I've got a big lot of them coming into the store tomorrow, and it sort of has a purpley foliage and bright red, and we did a video on it last summer, and it was a very successful video.
Okay. And it's not enduring summer?
That's it.
Enduring summer, there you go.
Yeah, enduring summer, that's it. That has a purpley, if you got that there, it has a purpley leaf and a bright red flower, and it's only a very small one.
All right, so there you go. Enduring summer is a recommendation for a good dwarf crepe myrtle. All right, so let's go back and have a look. Oh, okay, so Joe has said endless summer is a. I know it's enduring summer. It's definitely enduring summer is the one. All right, so we've got Nellie is in the Macedon Ranges, windy and frosty. What is the best dwarf maple to buy that will grow to a maximum of 4 metres?
I reckon an Asakasuki Japanese maple.
Yep, beautiful.
Asakasuki, and that'll take you very cold winters up there, and it tends to grow more horizontal, and it's not at all tall. In fact, I used to collect seed from ones that were 80 or 90 years old, and they were only about 3.5 metres.
Fantastic. All right, so an Asakasuki is the type, and I might just put that in the chat. So that's maple. Sorry, it's Asa. Osakasuki, I believe it's called.
Could you get Mel to come and see you for a sec?
Yeah, sure. Mel's just serving somebody, so okay. I'll get her in a minute. All right, beautiful. So, so Joe says thank you very much for that, for the advice. Let's go and have a look. We've got some more questions. So, all right. So here we go. Oh, Kitty's back. So Kitty, just bear with me a second. So what I might do is I'll get this question going, and then I'll go and grab Mel for you. So Kitty says, hi again. Chris, is it worth me planting turf at this time of year, or should I wait until autumn in my backyard? Thank you.
I would happily plant turf right now, and the trick would be to, and if you're on holidays in your home, it's a great time to do it. What you've got to do is water it half a dozen times a day. Don't water it for 15 to 20 minutes. Just like once you've got the ground wet, just water it for like a minute or so, and keep the leaves moist all summer. Now, what's good about planting turf now is it grows. And what would happen is you would have your turf established and growing within 10 days. Use a bit of liquid fertilizer on it. Keep it well watered, keep the foliage wet till it takes root, and although it's kind of a hassle watering it now, the great thing is you'll have it rooted in the ground and off and independent within 10 days.
Okay, fantastic. All right, we've got Amy on Instagram. Amy's in Bannockburn and says, we have a really big lawn and want to break it up with trees.
Mel?
Oh, Mel's with the
Okay.
customer at the
Could you
minute.
hey, could you come here for a sec? Could you tell them to come out of the room in there and serve the customers? You've got the nursery full of people, but they're all sitting in the room there. Get them all out.
Okay, so Mel's in Bannockburn and says, we have a really big lawn and want to break it up with trees in the lawn. Looking at perhaps lemon myrtle, would you recommend something else?
Whereabouts are they? Bannockburn?
Bannockburn, yeah.
Lemon myrtle, that's a very nice tree. If I had I'd be looking for something bigger and perhaps more elegant, and I'm thinking like Exmouth magnolia or luscious water gum if you wanted a native.
Yeah.
But I think something sort of big and spreading and gracious would be like the, and both of those would be very, very hardy because Bannockburn, hot summers, cold winters, lots of wind.
Yeah.
So I would although your lemon myrtle's a lovely thing, it's not particularly big, vigorous, or that gracious in the end. It's a nice sort of medium-sized thing, and something like the luscious water gum or the Exmouth magnolia would be more gracious and bigger and better. And both of those also are surprisingly fast. Particularly the luscious is quite a fast grower.
The luscious is a beautiful plant.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, a very good design and horticultural tip for Amy to get the best out of whatever she puts in the middle of the lawn to break it up, would be to make sure that the lawn isn't coming all the way up to the stem of to the trunk of the plants.
Yeah, that's the one common denominator for all trees. All trees hate grass around the base of them. One day they're going to discover that grass emits some sort of a hormone that inhibits tree growth or something like that, because so many times people told me they bought a particular tree and they've had it in for a few years and it's just not growing. I say, has it got lawn around it? And they say yes. I say, look, get rid of the lawn, make a nice circle with mulch or cultivated earth, and you'll see them a year or two later and say, look, as soon as I got rid of the grass, the tree just took off.
Yep. All right. I think, and also it gives you a good opportunity to plant some nice things underneath those trees.
Yeah.
Which can change over time as the tree is starting to mature and provide more shade. Then you can put different things underneath those trees.
Yeah.
And that gives you a point of difference.
And what's interesting is that shrubs and flowers don't seem to inhibit tree growth, whereas grass does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a grass thing. I don't like competition with the grass. All right, so Malaya Patnick has asked, and I'm not too sure where this question has come from, but if you remember in the chat to pop your location in there, we can tailor the answers to suit your location and your climate. What could be a nice medium hedge that flowers? And I'm assuming a medium hedge might be like 1.5 to 2 metres.
Yeah. Okay, so orange jessamine, not a particularly showy flower, but very long flowering, flowers for 4 or 5 months of the year, all through the warm parts of the year, but incredibly fragrant. So beautiful little clusters of white flowers here and there, speckled on it, and a nice big hedge of it will just put endless fragrance in the garden in the warm months of the year.
Yeah.
And another one is Escallonia ivei.
Oh, beautiful.
And there's a new Escallonia on the market called L. Now, Escallonia L is probably only about a 1.5 metre.
Pink L?
Yeah, pink L. But there's a hedge in Monbulk I'm going to go do a video on. Absolutely unbelievable. Just breathtaking. Just covered in beautiful, gorgeous pink flowers. But really, a very nice Escallonia ivei is fabulous too.
And Escallonia ivei is nice because it's quite upright growing, but it's got beautiful white flowers on it, isn't it?
Against super dark green glossy foliage.
Yeah. Very nice, very tough.
Yeah,
tough
and
foliage
long flowering. The Escallonias, they flower for a real lot of the year. There are other flowering hedges, but almost nothing flowers as long as an Escallonia or an orange jessamine.
Fantastic. So I think that's quite flexible answer because those are plants that will cope in various different climatic conditions. All right, so Dom Down Under, fast growing evergreen tree to block neighbours, not after a hedge, more individual trees, and the location is in Canberra.
Right.
So God's country.
Fast growing evergreen for Canberra. I'm thinking Exmouth magnolia.
Yeah.
Loves that cold frosty weather. Happy in that hot sun. Dig a nice big hole. Keep it well watered in the summer.
Yeah.
And that's a magnolia that doesn't grow enormous, but it grows fairly big. Very, very fast growing. I reckon it would grow over 1 metre a year and be really tough for that Canberra climate.
All right. Beautiful.
And it's if you Google and have a look at it, you see it's a lovely thick tree. What I love about the Exmouth magnolia has great big white flowers, enormous white flowers.
Dinner plate size.
Yeah, and it never has too many of them, but you get 3 or 4 nice flowers on there at once, and on a warm night it'll fill the whole backyard with fragrance.
Beautiful. All right, so we've got, I can't pronounce this, it's RCHCH27 on Instagram. What's a small ornamental, now I'm going to preface this by saying we're in New Zealand and it's windy.
Yep.
All right, so what's a small ornamental plant or tree to a maximum of about 2.5 metres that would be appropriate for a 3 by 4 metre garden bed outside the front door?
You know, what I thought of there, but I wonder if they've got them in New Zealand, is the standard acacia limelight. Would be perfect for that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be perfect. I'm not too sure. So acacia limelight, and so acacia limelight is a low-growing shrub, which around here they double graft onto blackwood, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep, onto acacia blackwood, and so it's kind of like a pom-pom on a stick. And I will go and find one. Keep talking, Chris, because I'm just grabbing one right here. Now the specimens that we've got at the minute are not overly huge, but it's the best we can get in Australia at the minute.
Yeah, they're very popular and they're in quite short supply. And this is it here. So what you've got is a 4-foot standard, with a nice bushy little head. And this is going to end up about 1 metre or 1.2 metres round. Doesn't mind a trim, and it hangs down a little bit and it grows up and out a little bit. So this will be a lovely soft 1.2 metre round ball. And as long as you stake it well, it's very, very wind hardy. Your blackwood, your Aussie native blackwood, and this is very, very hardy.
Yep.
Another thing that comes to mind, and I wonder if they have that in New Zealand. We might have different plants in New Zealand, but we've got the lollipop birch here.
Oh, lollipop birch. Yeah, that might be some. I would guess that might be available in New Zealand.
I don't know, but anyway, so a lollipop birch is a deciduous standard tree, very, very wind hardy, beautiful white trunk, fine foliage, and I mean, when you're going and what you want to show, so that's what you don't want anything too big. So I think it like a lollipop birch or an acacia limelight standard, and hopefully you've got those limelight standards in New Zealand.
I'm just going to put that in the Instagram chat. Limelight standard. And sorry, there was the lollipop birch.
Yeah. And the lollipop is like a ball on a stick, you know, and you can buy them grafted at sort of 3 foot, 4 foot, and 5 foot here in Australia. And hopefully that would be available in New Zealand.
So yeah, apologies, I can't see where I'm typing, and so if I've put some extra, I've put a couple of extra letters in.
Right.
But anyway, I put that answer in the Instagram chat, so that's where you can find that. All right, we've got quite a few more questions coming in. Let me see. Okay, all right, so Mahidra is on Instagram. Landscaping in Melbourne is much better than Brisbane. Oh, that's a comment.
Yeah, look, I think Melbourne is really the nursery and gardening capital of Australia. We have, not that you know, Gold Coast and Queensland are without good gardens. It's very much, I sort of see that sort of Los Angeles sort of style there. And they have their own style, and you have some beautiful gardens. But Melbourne, very hard to beat. fabulous gardens, and not just in Melbourne, but in the surrounding hills. Like we've had a person coming in from Macedon, fabulous gardens in Macedon, fabulous gardens all through the Dandenongs, and fabulous gardens right through Melbourne. So Melbourne really is like when I'm in Sydney and I'm looking at the gardens and I'm thinking, gee, they're nowhere near as good as what we see in Melbourne.
Yeah. And I think too, if you are in Queensland and you're sort of longing for like we can't move too far afield, but if you're longing for that sort of Melbourne climate, I think Toowoomba's very similar to our Melbourne climate.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So Brisbane to Toowoomba, it's not that far.
Yeah.
It's good if you want to grow, apples. You get good chill there. You get good autumn colour. So maybe that's not too far of a stretch to do some landscaping in Toowoomba. All right. So Vision with Ash has joined us from India and says hello.
Hi.
Now we've got Priory Pottery. Hi Chris, I'm in Melbourne and I have a mangosteen growing in a large 1 metre diameter pot that gets
What's
morning.
growing?
A mangosteen. Mangosteen. That's growing in a large 1 metre wide pot.
Yeah.
It gets morning sun. Have had it for 4 years. How long before you reckon that they'll get fruit?
What is a mangosteen?
A mangosteen is a tropical fruit. So Wayne is our tropical expert here.
How long does it take to get a mangosteen to fruit?
Like can take up to 7 years or more.
There you go. And we're in Melbourne too.
So maybe a little.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, wouldn't recommend it, but yeah, very cold. And that might actually so if it takes 7 years on average to get fruit for mangosteen in the tropics, it might even take even longer.
And I'm from southeast Queensland and it was too cold there to grow.
Well, there you go.
Didn't grow mangoes.
So you might never get fruit off the mangosteen, but you'll have a mangosteen nonetheless.
What you could do is move to Queensland and
Yes.
take it with you. Move to North Queensland, or just move your mangosteen to North Queensland and have someone look after it up there.
Do you know what I prefer to do? I like to take a holiday up in Queensland where I can get them.
Right.
Eat them fresh. Somebody else will grow them for me. But Priory Pottery, I hope that has been helpful. It is certainly a challenge when we try to grow things outside of their natural climatic conditions. We have to put up with, I guess we have to take a risk that we won't get the yield that we're hoping for. We do grow bananas and avocados, things down here, but it takes us a lot more effort,
Yeah.
I think. And we have to be more patient. So yeah, could be another few years. So if you said, I think you said it's been 4 years now, cross your fingers in 3 years' time, it's still alive, and that it's it's happy. It might bear some fruit. All right. So what else have we got here? Right. Got a lot of questions, but I'm just The Real DeFields, thank you so much. The Real DeFields says fascinating stuff that you are providing with very detailed information. All right. Nisanda, I have a north-facing front entrance with a lot of pots. What would be suitable for a north-facing? Now I don't know where we are. Well, let's just assume it would be in Melbourne,
Yeah.
perhaps. So front-facing entrance with a lot of sun. North-facing, sorry.
Right. And what's the question?
Oh, north-facing front entrance. What kind of plants would be suitable?
Right. Okay. I'd be very influenced by your by the style of the house and trying to complement the style of the house.
Yeah.
But things that I really like coprosmas in pots, but it'd have to be a fairly sort of modern kind of house. But you'll find coprosma, you can buy all different coloured ones. You can get yellow and green ones and red ones and orange ones and all different coloured coprosmas, even purple ones. And they clip into a nice ball or a nice shape, and they can look really good with the right pot. Or you could go with something like orange jessamine. Orange jessamine can be clipped into a lovely shape, give off beautiful fragrance. And
I've got a little bit more information that might provide a little bit
Yeah.
more context. So, looking for small trees which would be suited to a northeast sunny corner.
right, okay. In pots.
Doesn't actually say, but it's certainly the entrance of a house. So let's play devil's advocate. We'll go pot and in the ground.
Right, okay. So a nice small tree in a pot, like hard to beat, hot and sunny, would be a standard ficus.
Okay, yeah.
And then getting a little more exotic, a standard bay tree, and both of those with a clip could be kept really, really small.
Yeah.
So standard ficus and standard bay tree. And then getting a little more exotic, like we mentioned before, the
Orange jessamine.
the orange jessamine, which is a large bush and it could be shaped nicely.
Yeah.
But we did the lollipop birch.
Oh,
Now,
yes.
your lollipop birch, well watered, will take heaps of bucket loads of sun and stay very, very compact.
Yep.
Loves the sun. And then and if you wanted something really kind of interesting, you could go for what we call a curly shirley, or what's it called, a shady lady, is it?
Shady lady, yep.
Yeah, the shady lady, which is a robinia that's been grafted as a standard, and it has little white wisteria flowers on it and a beautiful sort of curly top on it. And I've planted those in the most unbelievably hot spot, like a front garden that was all rock, and they did 2 pots in it, and they wanted something that would grow there, and the reflected heat was mind-bending. Just walk out the front door, nearly killed you, and I planted them there, and they flourished and did beautifully. And they were, that was your curly shirley or your shady lady,
Yep.
grafted as a standard, and that makes a lovely little compact tree.
All right, and Amy was just asking if we could repeat that type of magnolia that you were talking about before.
Exmouth.
Exmouth, and I've popped that in the chat, in the Instagram chat as well. All right, so I'm just going to come across, check all of the platforms. So we've got here. Okay, so Sushovan is located in Sydney, says, "Hi Chris, my pencil pines are not growing as fast as I expected. What can I do to help them grow?"
They're in Queensland.
Sydney,
Sydney.
yeah.
Okay, so they love, I'd imagine that you might have slightly acidic soil. So dolomite lime would be the starting point,
Yeah,
and a good heavy dose of dolomite lime, maybe even a couple of kilos of dolomite lime around each tree, spread around where the roots are likely to be. Then leave it for a month, and then a good dose of Osmocote. Then give them a really good deep soak once a week. And I think a combination of dolomite lime, Osmocote, and a good deep soak once a week, you won't be able to stop them from growing.
and the warmth that we got at the minute too.
Yeah.
All right, well I hope that was helpful. All right, we just flick across to...
Well, the deep's about 30, but then we filled up with soil, so we can always...
Oh, okay. All right, let me have a quick look on. All right, so over on YouTube, we've got Kraken Industries. Kraken Industries has a swale drain down the side of their property with a fence on one side and a driveway on the other. It's 60 metres long, clay soil, full sun in Geelong. What combination of trees or shrubs would you recommend? And the swale drain hasn't had water in it for years.
Okay, so I reckon that you would do really well with something like a Kings Park Special.
Oh yes, Callistemon Kings Park Special.
A Hakea salicifolia. And both of those, like what'll happen, inevitably the swale drain will flood again, and they'll both be quite hardy for a sort of a wet situation.
And that was a Hakea
salicifolia. And a Callistemon Kings Park Special.
Beautiful. Okay, so I'm just popping that in the YouTube chat, so that Kraken Industries has got that where they need it. All right, let me have another look around and see what else we've got going on here. I know there's still a few questions here on Instagram, so I'll run through those now. We're sort of getting towards the end of our time, but we'll plough through these. So Prairie Girl Down Under, hello, I'm a Canadian living in Doreen, Victoria.
Right,
So just
long
down the
way
road.
from home.
Yeah. I'd love to get a Canadian maple tree. They're on a 687 metre block. Do you think that this is possible, and do we have anything?
Yes, no, and yes.
Yeah.
What I'm going to say is that I wouldn't go for a pure Canadian. There's a hybrid Canadian red maple here called a Jeffers Red.
Yes.
Now your Jeffers Red, basically the Canadian maple likes sort of mountain, beautiful soil, high rainfall, fabulous conditions, which isn't, whereabouts was it when I was?
Doreen.
Doreen, which is not Doreen. Doreen's hard soil, lowlands, hot, a little bit dry.
Yeah.
And so your Jeffers Red is a hybrid between the Californian Aces saccharinum and your redwood that comes from Canada and northern US. And they've hybridized the two, and it has every bit of the colour. It has a slightly different leaf, slightly more serrated, but the average Canadian couldn't tell it away from a red maple. You can't tell the difference. It's fast growing. It loves the summer heat. It loves the heavy clay soils you get in the lowlands here, and it has fantastic autumn colour. I think possibly better than most red maples.
Yep.
So, and it's a half red maple, half saccharinum, and that's the one to plant, and that'll grow beautifully in your garden out there. Dig a nice big hole, mix in a bit of good soil, and I think I've got them on special for $69.99, and they're about 1.6, 1.7 metres tall. Beautiful specimens right now.
All right, so I've just popped that in the Instagram chat. So the answer is down there. That's where you can find it. And Sandra says, thank you so much for the advice. Love visiting your nursery often. Thank you very much. We'll enjoy having you here. All right, Steffi, best size pots for a mature dwarf lemon tree.
Well, actually, it's funny. I had somebody ask me that question yesterday, and what I reckon, if you were to go for a 20-inch pot, it'll do it for the next 10 years.
Right, and a 20-inch pot in centimetres would be?
50 centimetres.
50 centimetres.
But say, for instance, say you're maybe renting and you're going to be moving and planning later. If you're looking, say, for a 3-year solution, I'd go in a 12 or 13-inch pot, which is a 30 to 33 centimetre pot.
Yep.
So if it was just like I'm renting and I've got it on the patio for a couple of years till I get my final place, I'd go for a 12 or 13-inch pot, which is your 30 or 33. Or if I'm permanent, I'd go for a 50 centimetre pot, and you can keep it there virtually permanently.
Beautiful. All right. Okay, and I'm just putting that answer in that chat too. Dwarf lemon tree in the long term. All right, and we're getting towards the end now. So Akash Wildlife, what is the best lavender for hedging?
Actually, the best lavender hedge I've ever had, I haven't seen it around for years, was a lardy lavender, which is a hybrid French lavender, and it used to flower 365 days a year, and it was very big. It was a big growth sort of a hedge. But I think that I haven't seen a lardy lavender for years. I don't even know what happened to it, but that was a fabulous hedge. But a lardy was a half French one, and I'm thinking French, and the reason why I think French has beautiful foliage, beautiful fragrance. I love the colour of it. It's a real bluey purple rather than a purpley purple, and I love that grey foliage. But what I love most about the French, it starts flowering really well in March and flowers through to October, November without a problem. So, and then has a few flowers for the whole rest of the year. So very long flowering, beautiful colour in the flowers, beautiful colour in the foliage. And it's not a super big one, but it probably, you could happily grow a hedge where the foliage was maybe up to about 1.4, 1.5 metres in height. Okay. So, or you could keep it, you could have your French lavender, say anywhere between 1 metre and 1.5 metres in height.
All right, beautiful, thank you. All right, so Prairie Girl Down Under has said that she's coming in today. She's going to come and check out our Jeffers Reds.
Yep, no worries.
All right, and look, we're getting to the end of that time, and we've gotten to almost the end of the questions too. We just got one left in the chat, and that is from Bird Jared. A good hardy ground cover to cover in between magnolias and grevilleas.
I'm thinking Urena would be hard to beat.
So Myoporum urina.
Yeah, and I think that Myoporum urena, lovely, dense, thick ground cover that grows really, really quickly. White, fragrant flowers. A beautiful but very, very hardy, tough, fast-growing ground cover. One of the best around.
And an alternative to that might also be a scaevola.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got quite a few. We're down the back between Myoporums and scaevolas. We've got a lot to choose from right now.
Yeah, that's right. So scaevolas, you've got some whites and blues and mauves, and that's a good hardy Australian native one that really gives off a lot of colour.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you all so very much for joining us. We hope that you're, relaxing on a beach somewhere, watching the live stream, and we will be back. Are we back on Friday or are we back on Monday?
Back on Monday.
We're back on Monday. So if you've got any questions between now and then, have a think about it. Make sure you pop them in the chat. You can email some questions through. Just let us know that you want to cover them in the chat next week. And we look forward to seeing you again 12 p.m. next Monday.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. We're all turned off.